Black History Month is a crucial annual observance that highlights and honors the rich heritage achievements and contributions of African Americans throughout history. Originating in the United States, it provides a dec- dedicated time to recognize the resilience, struggles, and triumphs of the Black community. By celebrating Black History Month, society aims to promote awareness, understanding, and appreciation of the diverse African American culture, fostering unity and breaking down racial stereotypes. This observance serves as a reminder of the importance of an inclusivity and equality, encouraging people to learn about the often overlooked stories of Black African individuals who have shaped various fields such as science, arts, politics, civil rights. By acknowledging and embracing this history, Black History Month not only honors the past, but also inspires present and future generations to strive for a more inclusive and equitable society. It is an opportunity for reflection, education, education, and collective recognition of the invaluable contributions made by African Americans to the cultural tapestry of our global community. Now, big brother, get your butt up and get on and let's get it popping.
I'm on standby. I like what you just said. That was some heavy words. Those words you used, they were really, really powerful when we're talking about recognizing the significance of Black History Month. This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. This gentleman you see off to my right, his name is Chazz, and I'm your big brother Jahi. And the music that you heard, we're getting the copyrights to it. That's from Cries from the Womb. And we also have a special guest that's going to be helping us with that called Liberation Academy. So we got a lot going on, Chazz. But having said all that, man, let's dive into this significance of Black history. I want to ask you right off the bat, why did you come in with all that stuff, all those words? Why is Black history so significant?
It's significant because it plays a crucial role for us as Blacks. It shapes who we are as people, what has been done to us, and then on top of it, it also shows and it's kind of sad me saying this, brother, it shows what has been done to us in the past and how it's still happening today, and it feels like there's no progression whatsoever.
Yeah, that is so true. And that's what we want to talk about, because many of us take Black history as a joke. We look at it like, well, it's just what it is. But later on today in this broadcast, we're going to talk about a lot of the lies, the misnomers that people have said about Black history. One of the things that Black history does is Black History Month. It honors our achievements as a people. You see, we never got the credit that we deserve for what we've done. We never got the accolades for what we've done based upon coming through a system and society of oppression, racism, bigotry, sexism, and all of that. And so this Black History Month, it should honor our achievements as a people. And Chazz, why don't we talk more about how we should honor those who came before us?
I think some of us as Blacks don't, and I hate to say this, bro, I think some of us really don't care because it's not something that's popular. It's not flashy. It's not somebody, like you said, that's arguing with entertainers, or it's not some kind of sports star that's dunking a basketball. It's not anything like that. So I think that's why a lot of us, the only thing that we really know as Blacks, I think that we really care about are the two things. One, Rosa Parks on the bus, her in that whole situation. And number two, Dr. King and Malcolm X here and there. But for the most part, we don't care. I just want to highlight real quick, and I'll pass it back to you, just three people of Black that did something for their achievements. Jesse Owens, he was a 4-time gold medalist at the Berlin Olympics in 1936. Also, we have two people by the name of Matthew Henson and Robert Perry. They first became men to reach the North Pole in 1909. And last but not least, African-American, his name was Willie O'Ree. He was the first Black African-American hockey player to play for the Boston Bruins. So those three people, I think, are of good significance. I'll pass it back to you, brother.
Yeah, I think we should talk more and more about this, because as a people, I don't think we realize the sacrifices, which we're going to talk about throughout the broadcast, the sacrifices that have been made for us. To me, we take us for granted. And so this is why this is such an important month. it's really an important year. What we're saying is we're taking this time out to talk about Black history and honor our people, and know that number two talks about how Black History Month, Chaz, what it does is it raises our awareness about the rich history of a people. When I say it raises our awareness, in other words, this has been set aside from the standpoint of us teaching and getting deep into the things that we should be getting into historically when it comes to our people. So our awareness should be heightened at this moment. But unfortunately, our awareness is not heightened because we don't look at Black history for the jewel that it really is.
Right, right. And I want to just say just three things that highlight about the awareness of this. Number one, I have to say this: racism, poverty, and police brutality. Brother, these things were issues back in the 1920s, 1910s, and so forth. And it appears, brother, it is still a factor today. My question is, like I said, Dr. King and all these guys, which are brilliant men, they talked about we sick of racism. We want to be treated free, but we're really not. So my question is, why does it not seem like there's any progression from then into now in 2024?
Because many of our minds have been seduced. Many of our minds have been brainwashed into taking this for granted. And we don't look at honoring. We don't know what that means to honor our ancestors. We don't even honor our parents. We don't even honor our people. So as a people, we just take this thing for granted. And this is why we have the situation that we have today, because a lot of us aren't excited about Black history, Chaz. We're just not.
Right.
We need to be honest about it. There's a comment that says what?
We should, Ms. Shonda wrote on here, she says, we should always honor our ancestors because that's where we come from. Absolutely, brother. And here's the thing, on her comment in particular, anytime where you don't care about your ancestors except for one day, like say, for example, you go on the news and they'll say, today is Rosa Parks' birthday or Malcolm X. We're hyped for that one day or those 24 hours. But other than that, we don't care about those people. And I hate saying that, but we should honor our ancestors. But as that comment said, we don't care about them except when we find out it's their birthday or something like that.
This is true. Now, the name I'm going to put on there now, most people should know that name. And I'm going to follow that with an image because we need to talk about the importance of this person. Now, as you see on your screen, Chaz, this person that you see, his name is Carter G. Woodson. Now, he was responsible for starting this whole idea of Black History Month. It wasn't called Black History Month at first. It was called Negro History Week. And even before that, it was called something else. So just give me a minute or two so I can get into this. Okay. So Carter G. Woodson, he was a historian. He was a scholar. He was an educator. He also was a publisher. In 1915, he started an organization called the Association for the Study of African American Life in History. That happened in Chicago. They met at a YMCA, man. This is how serious they were. And then in 1926, it turned into Negro History Week. And then in 1976, it changed from Negro History Week to Black History Month. And so people ask me, if you look on the side of me, you can see there's a picture of Carter G. Woodson right here on my little counter. And a lot of people that come over here to visit me, they ask me, is that your grandfather? And see what it is, they don't even know his image, man. This is what I'm trying to say. Now, we know Tupac's image. We know Michael Jordan, LeBron. We know all these women, these celebrities. We know Oprah Winfrey. Right. We know their images, and we should. Right. But how many pictures or how many times can you go to a house and take this picture with you and ask a whole household, who is this man? And they're going to tell you they don't know. So this is what I mean by we have to start digging deep and bringing out the nuggets, because we have to recognize the significance of Black History Month started by this man here, Carter G. Woodson. What do you have to say about that? He died in 1950. He was born in 1875. This is something we must be talking about.
Yes, it's severe. I know you just mentioned that he had a meeting at the YMCA to show how serious he was and devoted he was. And I would say this as well. A lot of us don't. If you were to take this picture into our average relative, uncle, cousin, or whatever, like you said, we wouldn't know who he is. And it's not. If you don't know who he is, research, Google and YouTube everything else, find out what this man stood for. And in fact, I'm impressed with the statistics that you rattled off about Mr. Woodson.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, well, let's go some more, Chaz, because Black History Month, it tells us a lot about us. Now, what about this one here, Chaz, as far as Black History Month?
Number 4, Black History Month addresses historical lies about us as people. Yes, especially you just touched on them. We see Steph Curry, LeBron James, Denzel Washington, all these guys, and Taraji P. Henson who are black. They look like us. But we think because they got money and they on TV and they live this luxury lifestyle, we think that we have arrived and we haven't. And we talked about this before in the past, you bottle all those celebrities up, we don't really own anything. In fact, they work for other white men and white women. So once again, it's a lie that we always think because we're on magazines and TV shows like Steve Harvey that we've arrived, but we not. That's the main thing I would say. That's a lie. Number two, we think because we can sit and talk with white people, get on the bus with them, we think that we've arrived, and we haven't. Just because you can sit with them does not mean you have arrived.
Yes, that is so true. And I wanted to add to that too, because a lot of times we read books by other people and they write narratives about us that's not true. And because we don't research and study, we believe what they say about us. They call us lazy. They call us shiftless. Well, we built this country. We made this country great. There are so many other historical lies that are told about us as a people. And it saddens my heart, I should say, when families are not interested in this. It's like we have stooped so low, Chazz. We've stooped so low that we're not even interested in our own selves. And this is why, if we're not interested in our own selves, no one else would be interested in us. And this is why we need to address the historical lies about us as a people.
Yes. Number three, Black History Month encourages the preservation and promotion of African culture. I would say that as well, such as jazz, reggae, blues. If you Google these things, these are all genres of music that a lot of us African Americans had a hand in as far as inventing. So you should be encouraged. Not that you gotta go to Best Buy and get every album, but just Google and research some of these people. You'll be amazed at some of the things that they've come up with, especially with reggae. A lot of us blacks, I think we only like reggae when we start using certain substances. Other than that, we don't really like it. But that's something that we should look forward to as far as in these genres that we had our hand in.
And I definitely want to say something about that, because if you read what it says Black History Month, it encourages the preservation and promotion of African American culture. In other words, what it's saying is we should be the ones that's going to preserve this. We're going to keep this. That's what you do with jam and jelly. You put it up and it's a preservative. So we're the ones that have to preserve it. And not only should we be preserving it, we should promote it, man. We should be promoting this, but a lot of us don't want to promote anything but a social media friend that we're following or that we're liking.
Come on, brother.
Because we don't want to promote us. We want to promote other people because of what we said a few weeks ago with all of this loneliness and all this nonsense. We have messed ourselves up to the degree that we don't even know how to promote. We don't promote our own. We promote other people. We promote other businesses. We promote other entities. But when it comes to promoting us as a people, who's promoting us?
Nobody. And I hate saying this, the only time we kind of get promotion, and it's negative promotion, is if something negative happens to one of us on the news. We get killed in a car crash, or the police goes upside our head. Then we on the news complaining that families protesting in the streets talking about, we're sick of the police brutality. But nobody's really promoting this, brother. And like you said, it takes something negative to happen to us for people to start promoting it. This is sad.
And this is really terrible. Why is it that it seems like we're not interested in our own selves? We want to be down. We want to be conscious. We want to be aware. But when you really look at it, we're really back into time, because we don't seem to have that wherewithal to move forward when it comes to a people who needs to be encouraged, a people who needs to know their history, a people who needs to know that African American history is about the African American, you see. Now, of course, we must go back to the origin and talk about Africa, but our culture, our context is in the United States of America. And so that's why Carter G. Woodson and some other people got together. They said, let's talk about the African American's plight, because it's the African American who's been through so much hell and turmoil. We're the ones that we should be celebrating, but we are so ignorant, many of us. And this is why we are in the bad state we're in. Many kids should know more about this, but their parents and uncles and aunts and sisters and brothers are not teaching them, grandmother and grandfather. We're not talking about this. So therefore we can't preserve it, Chaz. And we cannot promote it.
Number 5. I think you skipped one, brother. It was
Yeah,
at number
I
3.
put them out of order, but this is the right one. We've already got the other ones as well.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Black History Month is about building up on the greatness of our people by doing something positive to further our survival. Yes, as far as setting goals, being committed, as far as getting a group, maybe 2 or 3 people together, say, you know what can we do to help our African American community? Not Mexicans, not whites, and this is no jab to them. I love all people, but I'm just saying us as a black, because it seems like we always are the ones that are affected by everything: poverty, police brutality, anything you can think of. It seems like it's always us. And I'll start the question. Let me ask you this: do you think this was designed this way for us to be in this spot?
Yeah, I think it was designed, but what I have a problem with is now that we know it's designed, Chaz, most people that we talk to, they're going to tell you how the system is or what the man is doing. Okay, we get that. Okay, but since we know what the system and the man is doing, what are we doing to offset that? See, these are the discussions that a lot of us don't want to have. So we hide behind these cell phones because we're ignorant and don't want to learn and don't want to be taught and don't want to teach others and don't want to be excited about who we are. But this point number 5 says something very important. It says Black History Month is about building up upon the greatness of our people, because in spite of what people say, we are a great people. We're the only people that have gone through what we've been through, and we're still around to talk about it. No other people have gone through this. Yes, they've been done wrong, but for 400 years and counting, and we're still here. And then the last part of it, it says, by doing something positive to further our survival. Chaz, I tell my students all the time, this whole thing is about survival, man. This is about living. But how many adults do you know that go around talking like this when it comes to Black History Month? Because if we're not around, we're not going to be able to help those who are coming behind us. But this is all about our survival. And that's why we can't have these discussions, because once again, we have lost our minds and people don't want to hear it. But it is what it is, Chaz.
Absolutely. And you had a theory a long time ago, and I think this is accurate. If you got a guy, hypothetically, like Denzel Washington, all the money that him and Cuba Gooding Jr. and all these guys have, if they were to get all their money out of these Hollywood movies, and actually they have so much money, brother, they can build their own schools, their own educations, their own neighborhoods. That would solve most of our problems, especially with the survival. Because when you put it in a white man's hand, of course we're going to always be down. But if you took all of the blacks and we bundled up our money together, we would really be in a better spot. Have our own schools, own doctors, own colleges and stuff for the poor blacks and the poor kids. We would really be on the ball. But I don't think Denzel and Cuba Gooding Jr., I don't think that they're down for that.
No, they're not, but it's a society that's not down for it, because we don't expect that of them. We pay to get them to be who they are. Then when they become this way, we look up to them, man. And we should be looking down at them. But we look up.
We should be
not looking up to them. We should be looking down to them, because many of us as a people, we have allowed other people that look like us to destroy what is called Black History Month, because they've turned it into something that all we talk about is statistics. All we talk about are inventions, and those are fine. But we don't talk about how we can get together and build up on the greatness of our people, because our people, not all of them invented things. A lot of our people, they were hung, they were beaten, they were murdered, they were persecuted, they were sold, but yet they're still great in my book. But that's why when we talk about this, all the little measly mice tuck their tails between their legs and they run because they have nothing to say. And this is why we all should be indicted as a people, because Black History Month is about our survival. But unfortunately, Chaz, many of us could care less about building up on the greatness of our people.
Number 6, Black History Month is about a great sacrifice, not just inventions by our African American people. Yes, and there's 3 people that come to mind that I wrote down on my notes that I think that need to get a lot of credit. The Tuskegee Airmen, the
Oh yeah,
Harlem Hellfighters,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
Buffalo Soldiers. These were
yeah,
three groups of men, and that, even though I wasn't alive, but I still give my respect to them, that put their lives on. And when we talk, and I hate talking about war, but when we normally talk about World War I and II and all these things, we never bring these guys up.
yeah.
In fact, I didn't. I'm not gonna lie, brother. I didn't even know that these three groups of men existed until I did research. That goes to show you that the media and the social media, they never highlight. I've never heard of these guys on the news.
Yeah,
Have you?
yeah. I've heard of them, Chaz, but you did the most important thing that we're trying to help people see. You researched, you looked it up, you said, hey, because the system is not going to tell you about it. The school system is not going to tell you about it. So you looked it up yourself. And this is why a lot of people are messed up mentally. We're messed up psychologically. We're messed up because when it comes to Black History Month, we don't even have the stomach, man. We don't have the stomach to sit down and listen to a lecture or a teaching that's going to help us, because Black History Month is about a great sacrifice. Do you
Yes.
know that back in the day, our ancestors, many of them were called sharecroppers? That means that they, after slavery, they stayed on these farms and were oppressed, and they worked for these Europeans, and they worked hard on the farm. And at the end of the month, they got just a little bit of what they worked for, and that they called that sharecropping. And so they did that over and over again. So that's a great sacrifice. And a lot of us, we've taken this for granted. And I just believe right now, and I could be wrong, but I believe we're done. I'm not saying there's no hope. I'm not saying there's no
Expound.
future. I'm not saying there's no future. There's no maybe brighter tomorrow. But at the rate we're going now, when people don't want to talk about this, Chaz, when people don't want to listen to this, then you have a people who have turned their backs on the very people that got them in the situation that they're in. And
Oh
that's a
no.
disgrace. It's a shame.
So let me ask you this: when you say turn their backs, do you mean they turn their backs on men such as like Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey? Are you saying that they turn their backs on them as individuals?
Yeah, I'm saying we've turned our backs on their teachings, because we all love to buy Malcolm X caps and put the X on it. We always like to wear Martin Luther King shirt. You know, we put on the paraphernalia. We put on the dashikis. We put on these clothes. But what these men stood for, what these women stood for, that's what I'm saying. We're not into what they stood for. So this has become something that's more of a economic explosion, where Black people, most of us African Americans, we buy the garb. But when you ask me, what did Malcolm X stand for? What did Martin Luther King Jr. stand for? What did Bessie Coleman stand for? You see, what did all these great men and women, what did they stand for? That's where I can't answer you, but I can show where their shirts. And this is why we are in the condition that we're in.
Number 7, Black History Month is about a serious discussion about our past, present, future as a people. And I've talked about this a little bit earlier, and this is important. The past and present, it appears to me, and I could be wrong, it appears that we're in the same spot. In the past, we complained about police brutality. In the past, we complained about racism. In the past, we complained about poverty. In the past, we complained about not being treated fairly. In this present day and time in 2024, it's still the same thing. Now, in the future, we don't know what the future holds, but I'm willing to bet you, if I were a gambling man, that in the future, for us as Blacks as a whole, it'll probably be the same way. So my question is, will this thing ever change?
Well, it won't change until we do what this number 7 says, until we have a serious discussion with action. The discussion may be there sometimes, but it's really not. We play too much, Chaz. We're not serious about those things that we should be serious about, because this is about our past, but it's also about our future and our children and our grandchildren and those who come behind us. That's our future. But because we're dropping the ball, we're fumbling the ball, we're being intercepted all the time, and we don't seem to see the importance of having a serious discussion about Black History Month. You know, sometimes when you're with someone, you don't want to play around. You want to be serious. Right. We can't have these discussions because, as we see tonight, many people could care less about Black history.
Ooh, come on, brother.
Well, look at what's unfolding before our eyes. Look at what has unfurled before our very eyes. You can see it. It's just that we don't want to call it what it is. See, We're calling it what it is, but a lot of people don't want to call it what it is. And that's why if I went through everyone's home or they came through my home and we start looking at the images on the walls and we start talking about these figures, most of us won't know anything unless a celebrity or a sports figurehead told us about it.
That is a shame and a disgrace. And you telling the truth because you know it as well as I know. It seems like that's the only way we get information is through one of them telling us, and then we just eat it up and go and run with it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Number 8, Black History Month is about future obligations to our children to know about our fight here in the U.S. Yes, it's important to tell them about our shortcomings, our downfalls, the things that has happened to us. So that way, our young ones can say, you know what? My mom, dad, grandpa, uncle, they've went through this. Let me do everything in my ability to try to avoid this
heavy.
happening to me
That's
again
heavy.
because I don't want to be like my uncle or grandpa. And it's
That's
no
heavy.
knock on them, but it's for them to try to avoid the same mistakes that our family members have committed as a whole.
And I love these points we have because in these points, there are so many nuggets of truth that we can take out and talk about. And what I'm looking at now in front of me, there's the whole thing is beautiful. But the one word that I see with quotations around it is obligations. We are obligated, man. We are obligated to take this bull by the horns and wrestle and ride this thing until we can't ride it anymore. This is a duty to us. This is not something that just happens once a month or once a year, although a lot of people I know we say that we're black 365 days a year. We understand that, but that's not what this is all about. This is about taking this time out of your busy year, my busy year, and highlighting some things about our people that we should know. And then the lessons that we're talking about, how can we become better people? But when we don't feel like we're obligated, we're not going to do it. And that's why these types of broadcasts, that's why people aren't interested in these kind of broadcasts. That's why people are not interested in other people who talk like this, man, because we're not giving them what they want. We're not lying to them. We're not trying to take their money. And that's why people don't comment, because they know in their hearts they're guilty of sin. And they know that they need to do a better job. But instead of saying, you know what, this is me, they sit behind these cell phones and they act like they have it together when they're struggling. They're broken, man. And so our obligations aren't being met. And that's why it happens like that.
On the screen, some blatant lies about Black History Month. I touched on this earlier. Did you want me to go to this? You fast forward, or is that a mistake?
Right. No. This is it. Some blatant lies about Black History Month. Here's one of the lies.
Okay, yeah. They gave us the shortest month.
Let me have that, Chazz. Let me have that, please.
Go forward.
I've heard a lot of people say, well, they gave us the shortest month. Well, see, this shows that we don't know our history. This shows how ignorant we are. And I don't mean that to belittle them. I'm just saying this shows they don't know. So this is the ignorance. Let me explain this to you. Okay. They didn't give us anything. No one has ever given us anything. The reason the month was chosen was because Carter G. Woodson and the people that was a part of his organization, they chose February because the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln falls in February. So this is the month that was chosen. It wasn't anything given to us. This had a strategic, significant standpoint. That's why that month is the month that we celebrate Black History Month in. It ain't no one said, let me look at the calendar. February is the shortest month. Here, let me give it to you. You see how asinine and how ignorant and debauched these kinds of mentalities are? And we don't want to talk like this, Chazz, because a lot of us are afraid to be honest. We've gotten to the point now as a people where we want to say everything that's politically correct. We don't want to offend anyone. We want to make sure that we say it the way people are going to like us. We're going to say it, but yet they don't see that this is love talk. You see, and a lot of people didn't like Malcolm and Martin when they were alive, but now everybody likes them. But it has nothing to do with a shortest month. This is our ignorance, man.
And I just want to add real quick to that. I wouldn't say, like we talked about, it doesn't, listen, I don't care what they gave us on February or these certain months where they say this is Black History Month. Every day should be Black History Month. Every day. We shouldn't wait until February the 1st until the 28th or 29th, and then we research and Google all this stuff. Every day we should be looking up people who have passed on that were Blacks, who stood for something, who really did some good things. So I disagree, not with you, just with this whole concept about Black History Month. Every day should be Black History Month if you're African American.
And see, Carter G. Woodson and the people that came up with this concept of Negro History Week, That was their mindset. They just said, we have nothing in our books in the school system. We had nothing to highlight how great we were. So they said, we're going to choose February in honor of Abraham Lincoln and in honor of Frederick Douglass. That's going to be the month that we're going to really get into it. And they wanted it 365. So they didn't just say study it in February and then drop it. But this is the concept and mindset that many people come up with because they don't know, man, because like you're right, we're Black African American, we're every day. So we should be getting into that.
But that's what I was going to say, brother. I think most Africans as a whole have that concept where we study it in February and then after that we just throw it away and keep living our lives. That's what I was saying. Not to the other one. Plan B. Black History Month is just about names and inventions.
That's a lie. That's another lie. We're talking about the blatant lies about Black history. Black History Month is not just about names and inventions. It's about a survival of a people, man. I don't know how plain, how much more practical, how much more pragmatic you and I could be. But when you talk to people who don't know any better and don't want to learn, they take this thing the wrong way. Black History Month is not just about names and inventions. It's about a people who are a global people, and everyone else has a history. If you talk about the Romans, you talk about the Greeks, you talk about the African kingdoms, you talk about all the people that live in different countries, you talk about the Spanish, you talk about all these people, but yet we don't talk about us. We have a history too. We have a context too. And this is what's so sad about it. We don't look at us as we look at other people. So we minimize us to just names and inventions when that has nothing to do with the totality of Black History Month.
You're absolutely right. I don't have anything else to add on that. You kind of took a little bit what I want to say, so I'll just go ahead and move to letter C. Black History Month is about partying, celebrating with booze, dope, and foolishness. I totally disagree with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I'm thinking about, or I go to YouTube and I go to the library and I rent videos and cassette tapes about our ancestors and what they've done. It's nothing wrong with that. But when you, like you said on the screen, dope, drinking, get sloppy drunk to where you can't remember where you were the previous day. That is not what this is about. Celebrating this. In fact, I would say Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all them, if they seen us acting like this, if they were still here on this earth, they would not approve of that. They would totally they would hate that. So no, it's not about that.
But see, this is the lie. This is another lie. And I agree with you 100%. I totally concur with you. This is the lie that we've been told, that every time we do something, it always has to do with bringing in something, some kind of substance. If you notice, every so-called holiday, somebody's going to go get something and turn it up, because this is a mind that has been whitewashed. This is a mind that does not know how to celebrate. Celebration is not just about drinking and partying and being foolish, but this is what we've turned it into. So we go around and we say, boy, this is Black History Month. I'm going to tie it on all month because my ancestor did so much for me. Well, we're missing the point if that's our mindset, but that is our mindset, because we don't realize the importance of how to be serious and how to take something like Black history and make it sacred, if you will, and not belittle it and turn it into something that's clownish or moronic by partying, celebrating with booze and dope. We're the only people that act like other people's when it comes to celebrating. If I say to you, Chazz, let's go celebrate, the first thing you're going to think of, not you generally, but for the most part, you will go, okay, let me go get my bottle. Because this is how we think, see? We will never say, let's sit down and talk about the importance. What do you know about this Black History holiday? What do I know? Let's put our wits together. No, I got to go get my dope. You got to go get your boo. And when we get tore up, then we start saying foolish and stupid things like the uncles that most of us have at these reunions we go to. They always come out with this dumb stuff, but we don't want to call it what it is.
I'll take it a step further, brother. I believe if you were to say, hey, let's go meet up on February the 5th, we're going to celebrate Black History Month, I'm willing to bet you, if you call a group of people over to this location and there is no beer, there is no dope, there is no ecstasy, there is no Xanax, if they see that none of that is there, they're going to politely say, oh, you know what? I got to go pick up my daughter. They're going to leave if none of those substances are there. That's how severe that they are into these substances.
That's so true. That's so true. Let me say this before you read D, Chazz. Okay. I want to make a special announcement. on the 29th, which is next Thursday, there's going to be a broadcast that's going to be aired. And the broadcast is called Are You Serious? Now,
Okay.
there are going to be two queens that's going to be doing this just like Chazz and I. They're going to be hitting hard, but it's called Are You Serious? It's
Okay.
going to be Queen Zuri and Queen Charisma out of
Okay.
Indianapolis and Queen Zuri from San Antonio, Texas. And
Okay.
they're going to be talking about subjects. I think their first subject is loneliness. And so they're going to come on every Thursday. And we want you all to send me a friend request at Cry's Womb, because the first few are going to be on this station, this channel. And then after that, they're going to have their own, but they just kind of want to get started. But it's a shame and a disgrace if we don't begin to support one another. And that's
Right.
exactly what they're going to do, talking about loneliness and giving us some information and insight
Yeah.
about it so that we won't be. But once again, the name of the broadcast is Are You Serious? And the
Yes.
hosts are going to be Queen Zuri and Queen Charisma.
Yes, I'm interested into seeing this broadcast on the 29th, especially for a female's perspective, because us men, me and you, we sit back, we run our fat mouths. So it's good to see some sisters on here just giving their opinions, giving their input, and see what they have. So anybody that's watching us now live, just support it. It's an hour. Listen to it and give some comments. They'll respond, and it's going to be a good thing to see. I know I'm interested to see on the 29th this broadcast as well.
Likewise.
Letter D. Black History Month is about wearing dashikis or looking at old movies with African American people in them. There's nothing wrong with wearing dashikis, but I get your comment on the screen. It's not just about wearing dashikis. It's about a lot. It's about talking about what they've done, watching movies, trying to see if we can relive some of the things that they've done in a positive way. But it's not just about wearing the dashiki and thinking that you've done something. So I totally disagree with that part. But yes, looking at old movies, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. What's your take on that, brother?
Well, my take is, once again, Chazz and I are talking about on Adults Only. We're talking about recognizing the significance of Black History Month. That's what we're talking about. And we talked about that earlier. And now we're talking about some blatant lies about Black History Month. And this is a blatant lie. As Chazz said, if you're going to do that, that's fine. But it's not just about wearing dashikis. I asked one sister one day, why do you wear dashikis the whole month of February? And this was her remark to me. You know I got to represent. But then after February, she doesn't want to have anything to do with her culture, her heritage, and her being an African American. So Black history is not about just wearing dashikis and talking, so-called, as they say, which I never understood, talking Black and looking at old movies with African American people in them. That's what this media wants you to do. See, it wants you to buy into that. But a lot of us have bought into that. And this is why we are the way we are, Chazz. It's terrible. It really is.
Exactly. Shonda says, looking forward to it. She's referencing about the 29th with Sister Zuri and Charisma, the broadcast. So, yes, I'm glad she commented that as well. Letter E. Black History Month is unnecessary, some say. Now, not you, brother. For any man or woman that sits up here and would think of that to say that's unnecessary, that shows that they've lost it. This is totally necessary. I cannot explain 1,000 times. I cannot explain for 400 years what has been done to me. In fact, you're not you. I'm just talking about some of the whites are the reason why they are ahead of us. They're the reason why we're broke, don't have much, scrapping to make ends meet. So how I'm getting angry thinking about that. Not you, brother, but just this in general. I get angry because I know there's some Negroes who think like that. Oh, that's unnecessary. Don't talk. This is totally necessary. In fact, I think, brother, it cannot be talked about enough. Black History Month and how we went through. Shame on the people who think that way.
I do a broadcast with another brother every first and third Saturdays, and he had a video of Morgan Freeman, who was interviewed years ago. Now maybe he changed his mind, but he told this interviewer, Mike Wallace, who's deceased now. He said, "Why do we need?" Now this is a celebrity now, a well-known African American celebrity. He said, "Why do we need Black History Month?" In other words, he's saying it's unnecessary. He said we don't have a White History Month, but what he didn't realize is every day is White History. You don't have to put the name White History on it. In school, you're learning that. In college, you're learning that. On TV, you're learning that. On social media, you're learning your white history. So he's saying that Black History Month is unnecessary. And this goes back to show that many of us as African Americans have lost our cotton picking minds when it comes to the importance of Black History Month. Why would you think like that, man? Why would you say something like that? Why would you, after all the sacrifices that have been made for us, and now many of us are saying, oh, I don't get down with Black History Month. It's unnecessary. But your Black, you know what, is benefiting from a lot of the things that our ancestors had to go through that they couldn't even benefit from.
Yes, brother. In fact, I remember watching that with you and Brother Kevin live when y'all did that. And I was so angry with Morgan Freeman because it's like he should know better than that. But in fact, he has, I think, brother, some of these guys, when you got so much money, it's like they don't think clearly. Now, you and Brother Kevin dealt with Morgan at that time, but shame on him for him to even have that thought cross his mind. It just goes to show you a lot of, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of the rich and wealthy, this is how a lot of them think. This is exactly how they think.
That's true.
F, all Black people share the same history. I'll let you take this one. I need to get one more swig of water.
Okay. All Black people, this is another blatant lie. We're talking about the lies. We have a couple more, then we'll go to something else. But these are the lies. We're dealing with the lies right now. All Black people do not share the same history. The people in Jamaica don't share the same history with the people in the Bahamas. The people in the United States of America that are African American don't share the same history with the Africans who were taken to Portugal, those who were taken to Spain, those who were taken all across the world. So we don't share the same history from the standpoint of what happened to us. There's a contextual part that a lot of us don't like to talk about because there's no other people that have been through what we've been through, not to put us on a pedestal or anything. It's just to say it is what it is. Right. A lot of other Africans who were taken to the different continents, yes, they were being treated unfairly. So we have to deal with that too. They were being treated with racism and all of that. But we don't all share the same history because our context in which we live in right now is totally different. So this is what we have to do. We have to clean up this mess because a lot of us don't know any better, Chazz. And like you said earlier, shame on us when we sit up and think that all of us share the same history when we really don't. Because my history now is not the same history as somebody who lives in Zaire, somebody who lives in Zimbabwe, somebody who lives in Mali, somebody who lives in Kenya. And I love my African brothers and sisters.
Oh, yeah.
A different set of circumstances that we don't have, I should say. And we must honor that, man. We must recognize that, I should say.
Yes, we do. And like you said, all Black people don't share the same history, but it's just for anybody that is an African American, I don't care how dark, how light, or how yellow skin you are. It just, not all of us share the same history, but it's just to get you to understand where a lot of African Americans have come from and what they're still fighting today is what basically I'm trying to say. You have letter G. Black History Month is only for Black people. I wouldn't agree with that either. It's not only for Black people. It's for all whites, Japs, any person that's still alive. This is for everybody. It's not just for Blacks and Mexicans can't get involved. It's to show, like I just mentioned, brother, it's to show a group of people that are still walking this earth, what us people have been through, what we're still going through, and how we can get along and try to be treated fairly, basically.
And Black History Month is not only for Black people. As I said about 15 minutes ago, Black History Month is really African American History Month, because what that deals with, y'all, is it deals with us as a global entity. We are a global people. We have a history that should be global. It should be in every other person's history book, just like their history is in our books. Our history should be in their books, and that if and when it is, they wouldn't be so ignorant to what our plight is in the United States of America, and they wouldn't say some of the dumbest things that you hear people say about African Americans based upon an ignorant perspective. They don't know. And so if you don't know, this would be a great time for you to know. So Black History Month could teach you know what, that this is a serious thing that we're going through, and therefore you can learn how we survived. You can learn what we had to go through. You can learn what we're going through, what we're still going to have to do, and you can learn how to unify as a people who have been done wrong since the very day that we came to these shores.
It's absolutely. Letter H. Black history should only be celebrated in February. I don't agree with that either. I told you earlier, brother, Black History Month should be celebrated as long as you have breath, you should celebrate it. Not that you got to call a party every day or go to the mall and buy dashikis, but you should be, like I said, getting on YouTube, reading books, calling libraries or museums, trying to find out a lot of information about Blacks. So no, it's not only, it shouldn't be celebrated in February. This should be an everyday thing if you're still living.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is another lie or a blatant lie, a misnomer that many people have about Black History Month or Black history, that Black history should only be celebrated in February. This once again shows how small the mind is and how small the mind has been malleolated or made into something that can't think beyond a certain month, because every day we are. Now, we just talked about a lot of the misnomers or a lot of the lies. So for the last 15 minutes, let's end it on what is called Black History Month should. These are some shoulds. Here's the first should. Go for it, Chazz.
Black History Month should be about unifying of a people who are oppressed and exploited. Yes, because listen, we have been oppressed and exploited for far too long. It's important for us to highlight it, share it with the people. That way we can try to eliminate this from happening to us again. Now, of course, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. It's going to take time for us to recognize these changes. Because, brother, as a Black man and the Black women that are listening, we should be tired of being exploited. We should be tired of being oppressed. I'm tired of it for us. Now, there's only a certain amount of things that we can do, but we should be tired of this, and we should demand change. In fact, instead of asking the white man or the white woman to, this should be something that us Blacks should collectively get together with to try to establish on our own, because trying to ask them to stop exploiting and oppressing us, it's never going to stop.
And Chazz, what I wanted to say about that is, before we can do all of that, because we definitely have to do that. So I do concur with you, meaning I agree with you. But what I'm trying to get us to see is Black History Month should be about a unifying of a people. That's what I'm looking at. Unification. We're so separate now. I'm at your throat, you at my throat, the sisters at each other's throat. Everybody's fighting, everybody's bickering, everybody's arguing. See, unity must happen first before we can do anything about changing the narrative on Black history to help suit us. Mm-hmm. We must know that we have to unify, and everybody doesn't want to unify because there are a lot of people whose minds have been taken from them to the degree that they don't see the importance of unity. That's one of the principles of the Nguzo Saba that African people continue to struggle to continue to have, and that was about unifying. Now we struggle with that right now in America. See, we got that crab mentality, that barrel mentality, because if we studied it enough, we would know that until we unify, we would never be able to recognize the significance of Black History Month. And this is why our numbers are always low. This is why, like you said, it doesn't matter if we only have one person. We must teach this thing as if this is our last breath, because many people aren't interested in this, but we're going to tell it like it is. We have no unity. So Black History Month should bring unity. They had to work together. Now, we had our sellouts. We had our Uncle Toms. We had all of those, Negroes that didn't come. And we have the same thing today. And that's why a lot of people are not interested in helping solve the problem as opposed to helping create the problem, continue to create the problem.
Exactly. Number 2, Black History Month should create maturity in us that is anti-oppression. It should, but like you said, brother, it first starts with us coming together. Once you agree to come together, it is being mature in the aspect of going against oppression. Because listen, we've already got oppression at our necks from every other race, from every other angle. So the most important thing is not for us to be doing it to ourselves, because we're getting it from many other directions. And yes, we should be trying to go against oppression, because like I just told you in a nutshell, we have plenty of oppression every day at other races. In the least, we shouldn't want to be doing this with each other as Blacks.
And we really shouldn't, because the key word here is, like you mentioned, is maturity. A lot of us are just too old to be acting the way we act. But when you think about what has happened to us, you see us being dumbed down. And instead of us saying, I know that I'm dumbed down, let me do something positive so that I can get myself back where I need to be, we continue to stay dumbed down because we think we know everything. We don't want to learn. So we're like a little kid who's immature, who thinks that it knows everything when they really don't know it. But in their minds, they think they do. So they feel like, I don't need this because I know all of this stuff. And that's why Black History Month is a joke to many of us, because we're immature, man. We're immature, and we need to grow up. And many of those watching this broadcast, they don't like to hear people like us say that, but that's our problem, man. We are very immature, and that's why a lot of us like to roll out the red carpet to others. We like to appease people. We don't want to offend people, so we want people to think much of us because we have this kind of language that's really not radical.
Number 3, Black History Month should expand our thinking when it comes to wanting to know the challenges we had to overcome as people. I think that's the theme I've made clearly throughout this show. All the things that have happened to us, we want, or we should want, to overcome these things as people. We should want to keep repeating the same patterns over and over for years, decades, centuries. We should be trying to capitalize off of it, because you don't want to be 60, 70, 80 years from now still complaining about the same thing. We should want to overcome these things, because let me ask you this, brother. Shouldn't we be, as a people, shouldn't we be tired of living this way?
We should be, Chazz, but a lot of us are stuck. We're just stuck here, you see. We think that this is the normal way of life. We think this is normalcy for us to be kicked in the teeth and treated like this, because we don't want to expand our thinking. Because when you study Black history, when I study Black history, it teaches us how to think beyond the parameters of what we only know. It teaches us to go beyond all of the things to say, this is a very, very complex history. But yet it's so many things in here that I can grasp on and learn to apply to my life to make me a better person. So we should know that the challenges that our ancestors had to overcome, we should be looking at, I need to expand and broaden my horizons of the mind. But again, Chazz, I keep telling you this, and you're going to learn one day, we have gone backwards. We really have. We have gone backwards. And a lot of it is because of this very discussion that we don't want to have. We know our children are dumber than a box of rocks. But we don't.
Come on now.
We don't want to teach them, though, man. We don't want to help them. We see these babies struggling. We don't want to put up to help them because many of us don't want this thing, and that's why it is the way it is.
Number 4, Black History Month should shape our mindsets about us. We should say, you know what? This is what's been done to us. We're strong men. We're strong women. We're resilient. We're brave. It should help us. In fact, like I said, I think it should make us more resilient and to be able to fight these obstacles instead of, laying down like little chumps or marshmallows and just taking it. But it should shape our mindsets, to me, to become stronger individuals.
Yeah, I have not much to say about that because that was pretty much perfect what you said. This is our last point here, Chazz. What does it say?
Number 5, Black History Month should create in us, each of us, consciousness like never before. Not just in February. I'll let you take this one in, brother.
Sure. When we are touched in the mind, when our consciousness is sparked, there should be a fire. There should be a fever. There should be a high pitch in us mentally that we're saying, I got to keep searching. I'm awakened now. The light has come on. I need more of this. I got to have this. That's how we should be acting, as opposed to shrinking, saying, I don't want this. Right. This is too much for me. We should want to go further and further and further into this thing. But again, that's why we are where we are, man, because Black History Month is not doing what it should. And it's because of us. We have the information. We have the information. But that consciousness that everybody's talking about, that energy that everybody's talking about, that positivity that everybody's talking about, where is that when it comes to us? After the first few days, we are excited, and then we go back to nothing. We go back to just wanting to not do anything other than sit around and eat and act silly and get stupid.
You're right. I was scared to say that. We fired up for the first couple of days. After that, it kind of fizzles away, and then it's like we see commercials, we see stuff on YouTube about the Black history. But I think, like you said, after the 2 days, I think we pretty much fold up shop. And shout out to this picture again of brother Carter G. Woodson.
Yeah, Carter G. Woodson. You have to know this brother, man. This brother had. Can you, Chazz, can you imagine what he had to go through? to even
Man.
begin the process. You know, now we don't know this, but I know that there was a lot of flack that he took. You mean to tell me you're going to talk about highlighting African Americans' history only? Some of his friends, I know that it was tough for this man, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
can't sit down and talk about, I bet you it was tough for this man and the other people that said, let's begin the process. Because I know that even today, when we talk about it, people are angry and don't want to hear it. We
Mhm.
are a people who have been robbed. We are a people who've been raped. We are a people who have had
Mm.
our minds taken from us. And yet we don't have enough gumption in us to sit down and say, this discussion is beautiful. This is a wonderful discussion because it's
Yes.
teaching me now the importance and the significance of Black history.
Yes, you said a handful, and I would add to that too. We've been dumbed down so much, not only through social media, but there's a lot of other things that I could say that how we've been dumbed down by. But it's like now, brothers like Carter G. Woodson, it's like we don't care, and this man should be recognized in every household as African Americans. You should know that face, and if you don't, do some research on it because this is some good information. It really is.
Yeah, it really is, Chaz. So we're going to wind down here now. So as we wind down every now and then, we give you a little music, so you can listen to us while we get off the air. So we're just trying to soothe your mind. This is not a radio station where we're trying to get you to relax to where you're not thinking about what we're talking about. This is a conversation that we should have because Black History Month is crucial. It's significant to all of us. The sacrifices that our ancestors made, the struggles that they had to overcome and endure, all of the pain that they had to for us, all of the things that happened to us as a people, we should be able to sit back and reflect and to say in our hearts, they did that for me. They didn't even know I was coming, but they did that for me. And so we should love those people. We should honor those people. We should respect those people. And we should always get those people in our hearts to live with us based upon the fact that there's no one in the world that has gone through what we've gone through. And you mean to tell me we can't honor them? We can't talk about them? We're too busy trying to follow somebody, and I keep harping on this. We're too busy trying to follow somebody on social media.
Right.
Want people to see that we like their post, but this is insane, Chad. So I'm about done, and I'm going to let you take us on home. So again, this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday, and they know it, at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Stay tuned for another broadcast coming up next Thursday. That's actually called Are You Serious? That's Queen Zuri. That's also with another Queen Charisma. And we got a few comments, and I'm going to let you take us on home because this is how we should be.
Sister Barbara says, excellent podcast. Thank you, brothers, for sharing. And Sister Mashana Shimotep Bros. We appreciate those comments, and I just want to touch up one more time. The 29th, next week, Sister Charisma and Zuri are going to be on here. We're going to take this week off and listen to these sisters come at you with some hard-hitting topics about loneliness. Tonight's broadcast was about Black History Month. It is crucial as a Black man and woman to watch this broadcast to learn about our ancestors, what they fought, what they went through, and how we're still being affected today by these same issues. Listen, there's nothing wrong with having a good time, listening to YouTube videos about our ancestors and what they've done, but we shouldn't turn this into, as we mentioned earlier, a drunk fest, a dope fest. We should be actually learning about these people and saying, like you just mentioned, brother, they fought all this for me to be in this spot. We should have a lot of respect for them and care for them and want to learn as much as we can about them. And last but not least, Black History Month should not be celebrated just for a month or for a few days. We need to take this seriously, research it every day, call libraries, get as much information, because there's some things that we're not telling you that you can find that'll be interesting, like I found earlier about the Tuskegee Airmen and a couple other brothers. I appreciate doing this show with you, brother. Next, let me ask you real quick before we go. Did you come up with a topic for the following week, or you?
No, we'll get it together. But you misspoke, so I'm gonna check you. I'm gonna check you right here on this broadcast. You said that we were not gonna be here next Thursday. We are gonna be here next Thursday. I mean, Wednesday. I stand corrected. Our broadcast is on Wednesday, so we will be here Wednesday. They will be here Thursday. So yeah, y'all notice. You see, I check him, y'all. I check him right in front of everybody. He said we weren't going to be here. We will be here, but we'll be here at our regular time on Wednesday. But Are You Serious will be here on Thursdays. So that's what we're talking about. But again, we have fun with this broadcast, y'all.
Yeah.
Again, we're going to get out of here. And Chazz, I appreciate you as well doing these broadcasts. So it's really a fun time to get to clarify a lot of things and to help our people, because our people are struggling right now. And if no one else is going to tell them the truth, we're going to tell them. And like the grown folks used to say, whether we like it or not, we have to tell them this, because somebody has to give out this medicine, because this is some very serious information. So again, on behalf of Chazz, I'm your big brother Jahi. We're going to see you guys later. And we thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. Ujah Sanel and Shem M Hotel.
Take care, everybody.